welcome back to episode 47 of the hops&bops podcast. I am Tom, and actually we have a very special episode today. I kicked Mike and Joe out. They're not here anymore for one episode. And I actually brought on a very special guest, my own sister Lindsay. How are you?
Your own sister, Lindsay.
My own, I own you. That's how this works.
That's your own sister. Your only sister.
Listen.
The most important person you've ever met in your entire life. That's how you should always introduce me.
You would think 47 episodes in, I would know how to do an intro right, but I just don't. So we're just going to stick with that.
Okay.
My own sister Lindsay is here to talk about an album that she picked.
Yeah, that I did pick.
And that's not a beer. It is our first cider, I think. I don't think we've had a cider on the podcast before. But it is 𝗯𝗥cie by Citizen Cider, which is a cider co-fermented with blueberries. And to pair that, she has chosen a Panic at the Disco album called Pretty Odd. Came out in 2008, right? Well, I actually should probably pull that up. Yes, came out in 2008. Right after they got pretty big, after a couple big singles in 2006, 2005, 2008. Well, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out, the album before, came out in 2005. Mm-hmm. But, you know, the early to mid-aughts is when they were getting popular. But, yes, well, we ought to drink this.
Oh, I'm sorry, I need to leave now.
Did you just
This is not our father...
Yes.
Giving us dad jokes.
Yes, so we do have a group chat where my dad just sends us dad jokes every now and then.
Quite awful.
And yeah, we all just kind of
dislike his things.
Yeah. We thumbs down it. So this is what 6.1% ABV. It's co-fermented with blueberries and apples. A bit on the drier side, but not like crazy dry. But I'm actually interested in trying this. You were up in Vermont getting this, right?
Yeah, we went to a bachelorette party up in Burlington. And Citizen Cider's headquarters are there, and you just spilled it all over the place. And they are fantastic. I love Citizen Cider. They have a lot of great stuff.
I've had their stuff before. Not this, obviously.
The Dirty Mare is wonderful.
Yes, so they have like a main line of stuff that's pretty nationwide. They call it their core stuff, which is funny because apples. They have Unified Press. They have the Dirty Mare, like you were saying. The Lake Hopper and Wits Up. I believe I've had Unified Press and the Dirty Mare, but I don't think I've had the other ones.
They serve them in a lot of bars and across Connecticut, across the Northeast.
Okay.
I know I had thought when we were up in Burlington, they had told us that 𝗯𝗥cie was something that they only had at their...
Oh, like at their brewery?
At the brewery itself. I had thought that's what they had told us, but a friend of mine found it in Colchester at a package store up in Colchester. So I was very excited. This is my last one. I did bring it from Burlington. So yes, if I cannot find it, I will have to take another drive up to Burlington because it is quite delicious. Okay.
So this is not a regular cider. This is a rosé cider, and it says on their website there is fermenting and then there's co-fermenting. Our rosé line focuses on the marriage of co-fermentation between apples and locally sourced fruit, the embodiment of cooperation that creates unique and delicious ciders. So they're, instead of a cider where it's just apples, I guess they threw in different fruits. So this one's the blueberry, hence the B in front of rosé.
Oh.
And, bros. Anyway, we're splitting one today because it's the last one, but I'm really interested to try it. I've seen it around the house and not had to try it.
It's just been sitting around the house.
It's been in the fridge for like a month. I don't know if it's even expired or has a
Get out of here.
Date. Anyway. Do you want to try it?
Yes.
Let's see if you get any clink at all.
Sláinte.
Sláinte. Ooh, that's really good. Mm-hmm. Wow.
It's so smooth.
Oh, you really only get that kind of appley cider taste in the back half. Mm-hmm. You don't really get that. It kind of tastes like, oh, wow, that's really cool. So it's like so I've said this before when we did our episode with the wine for the Snoop Dogg one. I don't like wine. Like, there are very small, like, Moscatos or like weird fruity ones that I like, but I've never really found one that I like. So this one actually tastes like wine, but like the bad parts removed, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So if you like wine, if you like a rosé, this is like a dulled down version of it, but like
it's a more I think it's a more drinkable kind of cider. I feel like with cider sometimes you get a little bit of acidity that like makes your stomach hurt or like your like heartburn. Like I feel like some of the acid in cider gets you a little bit, but this one in particular is so smooth that
really good.
I could drink it like any time of the year. Like it could be a very like fall autumn drink. It could be a really refreshing summer drink. Just kind of a more cozy one in winter. So it's definitely something that like year round I could drink continuously. It is quite wonderful.
I'm not really getting an overwhelming like blueberry taste out of it though.
But I think the blueberry adds a little bit of the adds the sweeter side to it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like rosé can have more kind of like rosé is the drier part of it, but they add the blueberry in to make it not just completely rosé. They make it, they give it that little sweet touch with it.
Excuse me. Yeah, and I'm a big fan of ciders in general. You know, I love Angry Orchards. I can go with like a Red's Apple Ale. Usually I like the Angry Orchards. But like I've had them before. Actually, I got one from the guy that runs the package store next to where I work. He gave me a free sample of this Stormalong one. And it was so dry and very, very, like, apple-y. Like, to the point where it was, like, kind of off-putting and nasty.
Yeah.
But this one is such a good combination. I feel like the blueberry offsets the apple taste just enough to where it balances it out really well. And that's a great combo. I'm going to have another sip of that.
Yeah. I got it in a flight when I was up in Citizen Cider. It was wonderful. I got like a boatload. Like, I think there was like a handful of them that you could get in a flight, and one of them was the bRosé. And I was like, yeah, after the flight, I literally just want to drink bRosé.
Yeah.
And then we all bought like a 4-pack of them. So, yeah, that was my favorite.
There you go. So I'm on citizencider.com going through their description of this, so I'll read it out real quick. It says, bRosé, cider rosé made by 3 bros right in the great state of Vermont. bRosé is handcrafted by co-fermenting blueberries and fresh cider pressed at our Flynn Ave press house. bRosé is the embodiment of cooperation. Blueberry and apple, summer and fall, farmers and cider makers, here's to getting along. Availability forever, so you can get this year-round. It's not like a seasonal beer, which is good, because I definitely am interested in getting some more of that. Out of Burlington, Vermont. It's naturally gluten-free, too, so if that's an issue that you have with beer drinking or any kind of alcohol in general, then, you know, I'm sure you've known about ciders by now, because I feel like most of them are gluten-free.
Cider's definitely... Like, there's a lot of cider brands out there. I feel like I really like Citizen Cider. I really like 𝗯𝗥cie𝘀é, which is also Vermont-based.
𝗯𝗥cie's pretty good, yeah.
But, like, I think I like the most, like, what's it called? Like, the most flavors. Like, they have a very wide variety of flavors that I could drink all the time.
Who Citizen Cider?
Yeah, Citizen Cider definitely has the most variety, I think, that I enjoy.
Yeah, just scrolling down, they have limited batch ciders too, like Citrus Star, where I think they put hops into the cider. So that would be interesting to try. And I love when websites do this kind of thing where you can see the pairings of foods that they can offer.
Yes.
So if you're interested, here are some pairings with bRosé. It goes with lobster, blue cheese, aioli.
Yeah.
That's a word I can't pronounce. And tomato salad. Can you pronounce that word right there? 𝗯𝗥cie𝘀é?
We're going to get attacked for not knowing what that word is.
I'm going to look this up, actually. So I'm just going to take a quick detour into a command
Google
copy.
Translate.
Command paste. 𝗯𝗥cie𝘀é. It's a recipe for... fish stew originating from the port city of Marseille. Oh, it's a French and English form. Comes from... whatever. Anyway, you can have a lot of...
fish.
Seafood-style things with this. So... Yeah, no, this is great. 6.1%. really not gonna knock you on your feet. I know some people, they drink a cider and it's really heavy and it kind of sits like a meal for some people. I disagree. If you are into, drinking this style without having that really boozy taste of like an IPA or like something weird like a stout, this is definitely something that I would recommend. And I even had a second sip.
Wow.
And if you're trying to, I don't want to say like wean yourself into wine or like a rosé style, but if you want to get more into wine but don't want to jump straight into it, I would probably recommend this. Does that make sense?
Yes, I see the obviously the rosé part of it.
Yeah.
Considering I just threw myself into wine drinking, like full force, I love me a glass of red. Mm-hmm. I started out liking rosé because I wasn't a fan of wine because I never liked the acidity or like how much it hurt, like when you would drink it and it would hurt your throat and burn. But so I started out drinking rosés because I thought that was kind of like a lighter version and not like some of the heavier stuff. And then of course now I've just free falled into loving like the darkest reds. So so
you're full on grandma at this point.
I'm a full on Grandma Gloria at this point. Well, no, Grandma Gloria is a white wine drinker.
I can't do either.
She loves both, but she's more, I think, a white wine drinker. A good Chardonnay.
I can do a good
Kendall Jackson.
Gloria
loves a good Kendall Jackson.
Who doesn't really? But yes, this is a really good cider. I'm upset that you didn't get more.
I did, but I drank them. So there's one left.
And this is it. This is our last taste of it. I want to savor some more for the end of the episode, too. I got to pace myself.
Yeah, I did. It's 191 calories.
91?
191 calories.
Why is it so specific with the 1 calorie?
Listen,
usually you see them all around to the nearest tenth. But
listen. Burlington, Vermont is also a beautiful, beautiful place. So if you ever want to go to their brewery, totally check it out. They served food. There were literally everywhere I looked, there was a dog. So like if you just want to go see dogs, literally, you could go there too.
I stole the rest of the drink because I liked it.
And we were there for a bachelorette party, so they were very accommodating to us. But yeah, bRosé was like, I think it was hands down like everybody's favorite. Like I think everybody who did buy stuff when we got there, everybody got a bRosé at one point. Wow. So and I also just like the can. It's really pretty.
It is. It's a good design, and that's a thing we've talked about a lot on the podcast. Sometimes you'll just buy a drink because of the name or the can design, but this has it all. It's got the nice taste. It's a nice back taste too. You get it on the back end of just a little bit of that rosé-ish like essence, and so it doesn't overwhelm, and it stays. It sits really well too. So. Thank you to Citizen Cider. Thank you to Lindsay for driving up there and driving back, even though it's
anyway.
Yeah. Even though it's here in the state.
Actually, you could just say thank you to Chelsea for literally driving the entire way.
Chelsea. Anyway, so in I don't know if you haven't been on the podcast before, but usually we start with the drink and then go to the album. So do you want to go to the album now?
Oh, let's go to the album.
All right. So, Panic at the Disco. They're a band. Are they out of like
I believe they were centered in Las Vegas.
Okay.
So that was kind of, they met in high school.
Okay.
It was 2004 when they really started forming. So it was 2004, and it was two people. It was Ryan Ross and Spencer Smith, who are the guitar and drums of the band.
Okay.
And it really just started with them covering Blink-182.
Oh, really?
Like, that's how it started out. They just did covers of Blink-182.
That's how I feel like most bands start off, though. They just kind of do covers, and then they start to write their own stuff.
Exactly.
And then take off from there.
And then they also branched out. Mm-hmm. When they wanted to do a little bit more, they wanted to actually write their own songs, and they brought in Brendan Urie, who is the guitar and vocals, and Brent Wilson, who was the bass.
Okay.
So that sort of rounded out the band. They just really started like posting demos, like all our SoundCloud artists starting out. I don't really know if SoundCloud was a thing. I think it was LiveJournal.
They're passing out mixtapes.
Yeah.
Posting it to MySpace.
I think it was actually they did LiveJournal because they posted demos. They're very pop influenced, theatrical techno kind of sound. And the reason they got where they were is that they sent demos to Pete Wentz.
Oh, cool.
And on LiveJournal. Yep, Fall Out Boy. And he signed them to his label. Really? The first band ever signed to his label was Panic at the Disco. And they had never even played live before. That's really cool. Mm-hmm. They had never played live, and he already signed them. He championed them so hard. That's cool. So I'm pretty amazed. I feel like you've got to be some sort of band to just show up, play one song for one guy, and you're done. Like, you've made it. It was the Fueled by Ramen kind of label. Yeah, that's still around today. So, Pretty Odd was released in March of 2008. Mm-hmm. So they actually, in between, the two albums, they went out into the woods and chilled there for a while writing an album, and then came back, realized they weren't liking what they were putting out there, and they scrapped the entire album that they had. So it was like 3/4 of the way done. Yeah, that's it's like Green Day with what was it, American Idiot. I guess they had a whole album before that too, and then they just scrapped it. Yeah, it's all that work. Yeah, and that's something that takes a lot of artistic vision, I think, where you have so much work that you already poured in to the point where someone says, this isn't really that great, and then you trash all of that work. That takes so much vision of yourself in the public eye that you want this. That's almost like perfectionist, really. Oh God, yeah. I think that takes a lot of guts to really go out and do that. So yeah, and it's really interesting too, because when this album was put out, this album is very focused on a different kind of sound. Mm-hmm. It's very, I feel like everybody compares it to the Beatles. It's a very Beatles kind of sound, which is going from punk rock to Beatles is a very big comparison. At least, yeah. And so it's funny too, because in the band, it kind of created some tension, because there were people who kind of wanted to go this route, and there were people who didn't really. They wanted to kind of, try different things and not just stay in one lane. Yeah. So, I mean, to this day, it's only Brendon Urie who is the lead vocalist for Panic at the Disco. Well, I mean, at this point in their career, I know we're jumping far past this album, but they're, almost 20 years into their existence, you know? Oh, God, yeah. So I feel like at this point in their career, it's pretty much just Brendon Urie doing very pop-centric tracks, but the way he leads and his frontman energy is almost like God. Freddie Mercury-esque, And I saw them in 2016. One of the most... Was it Death of a Bachelor tour? That was Pray for the Wicked, which is their most recent album. Pray for the Wicked's 2018. Oh, maybe I did see them in 2018. Yes, it was after college. Sorry, 2018. One of the most incredible performances I've ever seen. I saw them in TD Garden, and it was 3 acts. And it was funny because you could tell it was 3 acts, because Act 1 started with him in a suit coat and black t-shirt, leather pants. Mm-hmm. Act 2 was suit coat was gone, but it was a black t-shirt, leather pants. Act 3 was no shirt and just leather pants. And it was incredible. He blew us out of the water. He played piano in the air. He played Dying in LA and mixed it with another song, and they literally carried him on a piano across the whole stadium. It was incredible. So he is one of the most prolific performers I think out there. Oh, absolutely. I feel like he kind of goes under the radar because he's got this alternative kind of vibe, and he's not front and center of a lot of things. Well, I mean, he does have pop appeal in the mainstream. He had a huge song with Taylor Swift called Me. I never actually ended up listening to it, but it has no, not that great. It's very popular, at least. I'm glad he was branching out and trying different things with different artists. He does have a song with Fun, which is interesting. Cool. He did a lot of songs with for Frozen 2. Okay. And The Greatest Showman. I knew that. So he's kind of attaching himself to a lot of different projects. So he is kind of getting out there. But back to 2008 of March of 2008, Pretty Odd came out. Yes, it did. Yeah, well, that's why I brought that up, is that
you can hear on this album, it's a bit more of a full band project. It's not just him in the spotlight, and that can work for it and against it, I think, in some cases, because I feel like, just in general sense, the hook writing on this album is really strong. Like, at least during the choruses and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you'll have parts of songs that get stuck in your head, but, like, in terms of a full song experience, like, it can get a bit too repetitive, because I feel like they lean on it heavily.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and I will preface this entire podcast by saying I did tell Thomas this was my favorite album, and then I realized I was wrong. It wasn't this album. So we were going to do this whole album being like, this is Lindsay's favorite album. It's not my favorite album by Panic at the Disco. That would be Vices and Virtues, which is the third album. And that was my fault. So
a text from leaving work, and she was like, oh, actually, I messed up. It's Vices and Virtues I meant to say, but we're going to do it anyway.
It was literally 3 hours ago I sent you that text.
It's okay.
But you're right. It's very, they rely a lot on this 60s psychedelic kind of music where it's very big band, very orchestrated, but it's also like, I feel like some of the kinds of songs just kind of like meld into one. Like, there's not a song in there that sort of just like stands out to me. Like, I feel like I feel like some people will be like 9 in the afternoon and When the Day Met the Night. But, like...
That's exactly the two.
Yeah, so, but, like, I feel like... But those are the only two blips. Like, I feel like it's very... like, if you need something to listen to while you're, like, just kind of... You need to get through the day, you're trying to do stuff, and you don't want anything to, like, stop you or, like put you in the middle of it. This is a great album to listen to because it's so, like... melodic, but also very continuous. Like, you don't have to stop and just be like, what was that, and like replay it again.
Yeah, there's not very like intricate. Well, I mean, it is somewhat intricate, but like it doesn't necessarily demand your attention at most times. And it's interesting you brought that up, because Mike talks about that a lot, where he has albums that he puts on in the background while he's doing stuff, and that is beneficial for whatever task you're trying to get done. You know, you're not trying to focus too much on another thing, but you don't want to be sitting there in silence.
Yeah, I did for work today. Yeah. That's exactly what I did. When I was on the computer, I needed to focus on what I was doing, and I put this on.
Yeah.
I mean, also, if you're like people like us who really kind of analyze music pretty deeply, I feel like this is a great album too, because each song does have some really interesting characteristics.
Yeah, of course. Like it's continuous enough where it still has a lot of unique parts to it that have very differing styles. Like, there's just a folk song in here. Oh, there's one where it's like, it's only like a couple seconds, but it sounds like it was on like an old-timey, like 1930s, you know, style of what's that? I Have Friends in Holy Spaces.
Yeah, they tried a lot of different things in this one, which I feel like I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because I don't like it when there's an artist who plays the same sort of music over and over and over again. Like, I feel like you just aren't trying at that point.
Yeah. There's a line where you want to stay true to yourself, but also branch out and try different things while still being authentic. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, starting with We're So Starving, I think is a fantastic opener to an album.
It's so one. I think when I was doing the like research for this podcast, I was like, it's almost like the preface at the beginning of a book. Like, it's just the introduction. And it's so great because the lyrics are literally just like a handful of years has, you know, gone by since their first album.
I think about 3.
Yes. So they start off saying, like, we've been busy writing songs for you.
Yep.
You don't have to worry. We're still the same band. Yeah. And, like, so it doesn't really have, like, a song to it. Like, it's not really like a story in a song. Like, it's very just like, get ready for it.
It's very much an intro where I feel like it pairs well with 9 in the Afternoon.
Well, that like goes right into
that transition, yes.
Yeah, no B is missed.
But at least with We're So Starving, I love how you can hear like the crowd noise in the back as if like this is the opening to a concert.
It's like a live concert.
Yeah. It's very much a visual song for me, because you can see like the curtain slowly opening, and then the song like builds and builds and builds, and then hits you that.
Their concert that they did for this, like their tour that they did after this came out, was like very folky. Like, it was all like they had folky, really? Like, it was very like old timey, like a lot of flora, a lot of like flowers and sets that were built like that were very kind of like living in the like gypsy kind of. It was so cool. I obviously did not go to it, too young, but it was so cool to watch like videos of them performing because they're all in their like little coats and so it's definitely a wonderful introduction to this album.
Yeah, I mean that comes with the kind of themes of the album too. Like it's very, like I said, Baroque pop style, which can be seen on like the album cover too. It's very flowery and it looks like it could be on the side of like a 1920s like medicine bottle or something.
And you can see, I don't know if it says it on the album cover, but for this album they took the exclamation point out from Panic.
Really?
They put it back in after this album, I believe.
Yeah, no,
but they wanted to not just be known for that, that kind of music, so they took it out.
Less Panic,
Less Panic.
Yeah.
I like the more Panic.
It's Panic!
Okay.
At the disco.
This is more Panic, at the disco.
It just happens to be at the disco.
Yes. But then the second song of the album is 9 in the Afternoon.
Yeah, that transition is so clean.
So smooth. There is no missing a beat in that at all. There's no skip. It's just wonderful. And this one, I feel like I characterized it like it was big band. Like this is... When you think about, like, orchestra, like, this is, like, full band music.
Okay.
Like, you've got the trumpets, the flutes, there's an a cappella, period of it, there's violins. It's so joyful and cheerful that it's, you can't help but want to pretend like you're in a parade, I feel like. Which is also what I think the music video is based off of that. Yeah, they're all kind of like in a parade. They've got it's very Beatles. Like it's very Sgt. Peppery. So and it's so like joyous. Like I don't feel when you listen to that song, I don't feel like you can be sad or can be like you have to kind of enjoy it when you're listening to it.
Yes, it's a very happy-go-lucky song. And it says on here that it was actually the first song they wrote after they scrapped that album, which was called Cricket and Clover. That was the original name of the sophomore album.
I would love to hear
what it would sound like.
What that would sound like.
I wonder if they have some masters somewhere that are buried deep underground somewhere. But yeah, this song was certified double platinum.
The record debuted at number 2 on the Billboard charts.
Really?
Which, for a sophomore album, I feel is pretty good. I mean, I don't know if that's like not so. This album in particular has a lot of naysayers and champions because people were so looking forward to them doing another Fever album. This was just not what they wanted, and so a lot of people were really upset by it.
I can see that, yeah.
But then there's also people who are like, they want them to go out and like go on limbs and try new things because I think I wrote down a quote because
Pull up a quote?
I miss writing research papers. It's really weird. Barry Walters of Spin. He said it was embarrassing, but he also said to be optimistically beautiful at the same time when sadness and ugliness might have won them easier credibility.
That is an interesting point, As artists change and mature, they definitely have different kinds of emotions that drive their artistic expression. And I feel like, if you were to be in that same sadder, emo style of music for too long, your shtick kind of is sold at that point, And
you're going to lose the people that, who were in that time with you. People grow and people change.
Yeah. And you don't want to stay with that one small fan base for so long, But this is like quintessential Panic at the Disco to me.
There's a handful of songs that are, when you think of them, you go, oh, Panic. Obviously, I Write Sins, High Hopes, which is like, I looked on, did you see on Spotify?
It's got 1 billion plays.
It's got 1 billion plays.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Nuts to me.
Yeah.
So then my other, another song that I love on this album is That Green Gentleman.
another single.
It was another single that they released beforehand. And so they didn't even need to know the title of the album before, like, after putting it all together. They knew because of this song, because literally, like, the first line of it is, things are shaping up to be pretty odd.
Yeah.
And this one, I love this one because it's a mellow yet jubilant kind of song that I feel like I could see being played in a movie, like in a montage, or kind of like, it's just like a good, like, thing to add to something. Like, I feel like it just ups, like, a whole, like, a scene of a movie. It's very casual. Like, you don't have to pay attention to it too much, because it's just like, you know, some good guitar, some good, you know, it's just change for me.
Sorry, I'm listening to my AirPods.
So it's really wonderful. I just really enjoyed it because I thought, you know, like, I feel like a lot of these songs can be either, you know, big band orchestra, or it's, you know, like, really sad, like, mellow. But this one's a good mixture of both.
Yes, yeah. It's definitely I feel like this one is a mood improver for a lot of people that listen. But yeah, no, I love this track too. I don't think it stuck out as much as 9 in the Afternoon for me. But yeah, I think it's still good. It's
definitely not, like, there are maybe, if I had to pick my top 3, I think that would be either number 3 or number 4. Like, it's not my favorite, but it's also, like, it's definitely, there are other songs that go under it for me.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I like near at the end where they keep repeating that chorus, and then he kind of jumps on with ad-libs and singing more onto it, and it kind of just builds together at the end, too.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful.
It's a very nice ending to a song, too.
No, you're fine. The next one I had written down some notes for was the Northern Downpour, which is definitely sad. It is if you literally, like, are in a depressive episode, this is your depression song. Like, it's very sad.
Yeah.
But it's also, at the same time, gorgeous. Like, I feel like the lyrics are so, like, bedtime story kind of beautiful. Okay. It's both Brendan Urie and Ryan Ross singing.
Well, there's a couple songs on here that have both of them singing too, so I was wondering who that was.
So that's Ryan Ross, and they're just very melancholy. Like, I felt like so, like, if I needed to chill out, I put on a candle. Like, this is just such a great, like, chill song. But, like, also, if you want to be sad and listen to the song, you're going to be sad and listen to the song.
Yeah, of course.
I think my favorite part of it is the chanting at the end, or, like, the, you know, the repetitiveness of the lyric, hey moon, please forget to fall down. Hey moon, don't you go down. Like, so that is, I don't know why, I just love that lyric. Hey moon, please forget to fall down. Hey moon, don't you go down.
Yeah. This one sounds a lot to me like if you have heard the Beatles references, well, not references, but like influences on this album, I feel like this one is the most like Across the Universe.
Okay, I can see that.
Where it's just like the acoustic for a while, and it sounds very like, in, you know, if you just say, oh, an acoustic guitar and a guy, you know, it's gonna be hard to compare that. But I feel like this one pulls a lot from that song, or at least that kind of style of music, and obviously it brings in light drums and an electrics later, but I don't know. I wasn't as big into this one specifically. I feel like it's just very slow, and it kind of drags for me.
Yeah, I think it's the drag. I think it kind of drags. Not that I don't love this song, but I do think it drags the album a little bit.
Okay.
I don't think it's I feel like they could have put that somewhere different. Like, I feel like you could have put that maybe before, but I don't know. I was going to say maybe before 9 in the Afternoon, or like after 9 in the Afternoon, because it's just very, you know, all of a sudden you're just like, oh, okay. And then, which is so, like, you're kind of, like, on a low when you're listening to it. But also,
Or maybe to, like, close the album off with. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, we're not experts at, like, track placement, so...
I do say, though, in the end song in this album, I do have a note about it. But... if we can transition.
Oh, let us.
To my favorite song on the entire album.
All right, let's go to it.
It is my favorite song on the entire album. It's actually one of my favorite Panic at the Disco songs. It's in my top 3.
Wow.
And that's hard, because I feel like there's a lot of Panic songs that are, like, top tier for me. But this is, like, one of the songs that, as a, like, middle schooler, I fell in love with, and still to this day is one of my favorites. And that's When the Day Met the Night.
Yes.
It's so good. I feel like it gets overshadowed by 9 in the Afternoon.
Oh, yeah, I would think so.
But it's like I feel like one of the most important songs in the entire album. It's literally the first 30 seconds are just, like, bringing you in. Like, it's so like, you're anticipating what's gonna happen, and it's just, like, building and building and building. And so I love that kind of song. Because I feel like I want to know what's coming next. Like, I have to be listening for the big bang. And it's just, it starts really low and it starts to gradually build. And then it slams immediately open and it's bright.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, like building to that brightness at the beginning. It's literally just when that beat hits, it's open and it's bright. And you're just immediately like, wow. And so, again, I always write a favorite lyric because it's just like, all was golden when the day met the night.
Yep.
And it's just a really beautiful song about, like, you know, the meeting of the two, like, times of day. Yeah. And it is just so gorgeous. And I feel like there's a lot of undertones to it. Like, you could, like, interpret it any way you want. But in general, like, the lyrics themselves, like, you can interpret them, you know, really go deep into it, write a whole freaking dissertation about it if you want. But I feel like just listening to the lyrics base level, this is still a freaking incredible song.
Yeah.
I'm really gushing over it. I'm like having a meltdown over it. But I wrote down it was a serotonin boost.
Oh, yeah.
Thomas knows there are like 3 songs that immediately boost my serotonin levels. And I go all out on those.
Crazy Train September mashup.
There's a Crazy Train September mashup that when I play dishes, I black out.
And the dishes are done.
Yes. And honestly, I think the most important part of the song of When the Day Met the Night is, of course, vocals, because it's Brendon Urie and his vocal range is, like, disgusting. Like, it is so unbelievable how high he can go. But also, I feel like, music-wise, I feel like the trumpets and the violin make this song exactly what it needs to be.
It just adds a little spice, you know, a little blend of herbs and spices that you really need to this kind of track.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be anything fancy, but it's just those two.
I think, other than that, the biggest thing that this track has is, well, obviously Brendon Urie, but his harmonies. And it's on everything except for the first line. Well, obviously when he first starts. But the first line of the chorus when he says, "In the middle of summer," and then everything else is harmonized for the entire song.
All's golden in the sky.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. And since we're quoting Spin regarded it as the centerpiece of the record, calling it a sunshine pop sing-along that's as blindingly bright as a stark contrast to the embarrassing if you can't sweat out. Boom!
Oh, wow! Oh, that's so cool.
Boom!
Good. Well,
take that. And Gig-wise called the song the track everyone will want to see the band play live. And noting that its brass backing and glorious string back crescendo are that of Pet Sounds era Beach Boys, which I was going to also mention.
Oh, that, you know what? That's a great comparison, Pet Sounds.
Yeah. There's a lot of contemporary work on this album that I feel like is very obvious, but also he doesn't, like, overwork it too much. Like, he makes it very much his own, especially those, like, kind of pulled strings near the end.
Yeah. If you can't tell, our father raised us in, like, all his music, so don't be I feel like everybody I work with is so shocked when I mention, like, older musicians, and they're like, how do you know that? And I'm like, well, my dad literally forced it upon us, so this is all to him. But yeah, this is just it's the most amazing song. I love it. It's just gorgeous.
But since you're mentioning tracks, I want to mention tracks. Okay. So I have never really listened to this album all the way through. I've listened to some of their albums all the way through, which is Fever You Can't Sweat Out and Death of a Bachelor, like we mentioned before. But other than that, I kind of went into this pretty blind, except for the 2 singles we already mentioned. But I'm going to assume it's Pass de Shovel, because it's like Pass the Shovel, I'm assuming.
No, it's French.
Pass de Shovel.
Pass de Shovel.
What is that?
I tried to look it up. I think it's actually a ballet term. I think it's like dance. I might be totally murdering that, but that's what I think it is.
Well, let me look it up.
But you're right. I'm so happy. I feel like you're about to say you like this song, and I really hope you do, because
I do.
Okay, good. It's so good.
So it is a ballet step resembling the pawing of a horse. So you know when you have here, I'm gonna get up. You're not gonna see or you're only gonna hear this, but you can't see me. So you know when you're on like the bar and they kind of like do this kind of kick with their legs, that's the Pas de Shovel.
I will 100% say you have a dance moves for radio.
Shut up.
And you really looked like you were doing a reverse stanky leg.
Everyone on TikTok.
The reverse stanky leg is
quote me on this. Use this sound in your TikToks. The reverse stanky leg, aka Pas de Shovel, do it. And then that's where they do it on the TikTok.
Yes, because all your listeners do the TikTok.
Listen, I'm an icon at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, this song is great. And I think what is an apt comparison that I didn't even realize until right now, the song is very gallopy. Yeah.
You're right.
And I think that's a really cool quality to the song.
It's very pretentious. Like, these lyrics, if you listen to them, imagine knowing me. It's the greatest thing you'd ever imagine. It's the greatest thing you'd ever imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Or it's the greatest thing that's said to have happened, I think.
Yeah.
Imagine knowing me. That is, like, incredible. I mean, so when you're, like, I feel like this is a good song to be, like, when you're not feeling your best, this is also just be like, yeah, screw all of you guys, listen to this. So it's, I really like these lyrics, because I was just like, wow, look at this pretentious, like.
So.
Next one that I think is just really great song is Folkin' Around, which is actually written by Brendon Urie. A lot of the songs on this album are all, like, Ryan Ross and, like, with other people, but I particularly like this one because it is Ryan Ross. Like, he's done a lot of it, but this one's just Brendon Urie. So you kind of get a taste of what he's kind of doing.
Yeah.
And it's very country. Like, I did not expect this on this album. So it's a very country folky guitar fiddle.
Well, yeah. I feel like it's like intentionally cliche.
Yeah.
Because it's called Folkin' Around.
Yeah. And it's weird. I feel like it's also the music matched with the vocals, which is just, it's a pristine, like chef's kiss, but it's also like his singing is almost like it's a ballad. So mixing that with country kind of, I thought, I am not a country music fan. You will not catch me listening to country music in my entire life. Maybe that's why I didn't like Taylor Swift at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I loved it because it mixed the parts of country that I liked, that kind of folkiness of it.
Yeah, a bit of Bob Dylan stylish, like.
And threw it in with, like, ballad music. Like, these lyrics are very, they're not what you would necessarily hear in a country song. It's very, like, more of what you would hear in, like, a slow piano kind of tune. So that was a great little addition on this album.
Yeah. I think I enjoyed it. I don't know in the context of the album I enjoyed it as much. Maybe as its own standalone thing, it's nice. But I think it's a bit too cliche. It's shorter by a fair bit than the rest of the tracks. It's only 1:55, where most of them are 3.5, 4.5 minutes. Except for My Friends in Holy Spaces. But that's another kind of style song that I'll get to. But While yes, by itself, I think I do enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would necessarily label it as one of the better tracks on the album for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I do understand why it is nice for all of the reasons you already said. So
yeah.
And then
the one, I mean, I feel like the last one that
you want to mention,
that I want to mention is like the end one.
That's what I was going to mention too.
I love this song.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like I've been saying that about a lot of songs, but this one, again, kind of like Positive Cheval, like I feel like when I'm listening to it, like when I'm just listening to them on shuffle, I love when it pops up. Mm-hmm. I think I got stuck in the My Drive playlist on Spotify, and I had listened to Mad as Rabbits like one too many times, and so then it popped onto that playlist, and then kind of I listened to it even more. Mm-hmm. It is one of the best, I think, on the album. I think it's in my top 3 because it's both Brendan Urie and Ryan Ross singing together again.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I feel like when they sing together, their voices complement each other so well. Because Ryan Ross kind of has the more folky, very light, and like he kind of gets the lower notes, and Brendan Urie can easily hit those like more tenory kind of tones.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would say Ryan Ross is a bit more nasally, but not necessarily in a bad way. It's just in comparison, Brendan Urie is such pure tones.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. And it's just that they completely just create magic when they sing on this song, I think. And it's so good when it hits like that one point where it's just we must reinvent love.
Yep.
That is literally the last sentence on that album.
Yep.
Is we
reinvent
must
love.
Yeah. We must reinvent love. Mm-hmm. And it keeps going over and over and over again. And I love that. Like it's it calls a lot to the Alice in Wonderland kind of theme. Obviously Mad as Rabbits.
Yep.
And it's so very like hopeful at the end, I feel like. Like I feel like it leaves you on a higher note than I feel like some other albums just kind of leave you like wanting more. I feel like this one is it's such a nice conclusion.
Yeah. I like the lyrical side of it too, where it's profiling like a guy that kind of puts everything aside to be the ideal working man for like his family, and then in that he loses like all of his joy in life becoming as mad as rabbits. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I think that's a kind of interesting comparison, at least on the lyrical end, to like choosing to have this proverbial freedom.
But yeah, this song is a great closing song, I feel like. I mean, you could put like When the Day Met the Night at the end too, and just kind of have it like float into the air and just like fizzle out. Mm-hmm. But I feel like Mad as Rabbits is a great choice because it's just like it ends it on that note of like, all right, what are they going to do next?
Exactly, yeah.
Like you don't know what's going to come. Are they going back to emo, or are they going back to this 60s psychedelic?
But what it does have, the pros of this are, great singing across the entire thing. Brendan Urie has to be one of the best front men in the last, like, at least 10, 15 years. Maybe 20.
I feel like before our grandpa died, handful of years ago, I was so into the Death of a Bachelor phase that I was listening to the song Death of a Bachelor and being like, Grandpa, you would love this guy. Like, he is so charismatic. Mm-hmm. He likes to play to the audience, which I feel like a lot of, like, artists nowadays will just kind of stay in their lane, do their own thing, like, kind of, just, like, focus on, like, a circle around them.
Yeah.
And I feel like, at least when our grandpa was growing up and listening to music, I feel like a lot of, like, more of the old-time crooners kind of played to their audience a bit more, or, like, kind of had this kind of deep, melodic sense of tone, and at least had range. Mm-hmm. Like, they had so much range. I feel like half the time I'm listening to these pop songs nowadays, and it's the same song over and over and over again, and they're on the same tone and same note. And I feel like with Panic at the Disco, or Brendan Urie in particular, you never know what he's going to sing next.
Yeah.
Like, you never know what note he's going to hit. You never know, like, what he's going to option up, or, like just anything. And so I remember showing Grandpa Death of a Bachelor, and he was like, this guy's really good. And he was like really into it, and I was like, this is something you would love. So I feel like he's not just one generation kind of guy. I feel like he could be, if people gave him a chance and stopped seeing emo pop punk phase, they could see that he's actually kind of an all around music guy. But I will say, so do you want to do the
let's jump into tracks there. It's tough for me to pick a favorite. I'm stuck between the two that I think both you and I are stuck between. I think I will let the winner go to 9 in the afternoon. Don't play that. Okay, well, you heard the beginning of it because I played it out of the wrong headphone. I think it's such a good beginning to the album. You know, it starts the album off on such a high note, and it already had an intro basically to it. It's so summery and freeing. It's almost like a rejuvenation of their whole shtick, you know. And the story of them leaving the shed, or like this cabin in the middle of the woods, getting back out and almost being like free again. It's a very freeing song. So I will say 9 in the afternoon. Single mix. I don't know why it's the single mix, but it's my favorite.
Favorite, I gotta go just because it's literally like I feel like I said it when I was talking about it. When the day met the night, I like 9 in the afternoon. I feel like has, for me, just been overplayed because it was like when you think of Pretty Odd, you think of 9 in the afternoon. But When the Day Met the Night, I feel like is such a like it frees my soul up to be like kind of takes away any of the crap I'm thinking about and lets me be more free. And I think the lyrics are just so beautiful, and every time he hits that note on the lyric golden, I'm like immediately like I'm done. Like this is like that note is golden. Like I can't get past that song and like think about other songs as favorites of mine because that's just it does it in for me.
Okay. What is your least favorite on this album though? Do you need me to go first? You need to think about it a bit more.
Let me see the track list again. Like I feel like there were songs I definitely didn't like write about because I was like I didn't want to listen to it.
Yeah. I'll jump in and I'll mention mine. It's something we didn't really talk about, but it's called From a Mountain in the Middle of the Cabins. It's the second to the last song. It's a little too Baroque. It's a little pretentious in the way that it's very classical influenced. I like the intricacy of the little string instrument or whatever kind of thing that they include in there. But the way that it's very, it's not very hook driven. And granted, they don't need to have that, but I think it's a little too forgettable in what that it was trying to go for. So I'll say that is my least favorite.
I think my least favorite, and it's not like least favorite, but I feel like it's just something that like I skip it when it comes up, is Do You Know What I'm Seeing? Mm-hmm. It's just, and I know the lyrics, like I sing it. Like, so I know the lyrics to that song. It's just, it's not one for me that hits a sort of mark that, oh, this is special. So I do skip it, but I do know the lyrics because I've listened to it all the time, but it's just, it's not, it doesn't hold like a special place in my heart. Like I think some of the other ones do.
Mm-hmm. I could definitely see that too.
What about your
Sleepy Dark Horse?
Sleepy Dark Horse.
That's what we've patented at the Hops and Bops podcast. I'm stuck between two. I'm going to go with Pas de Chavel and Mad as Rabbits. I really enjoyed both of those. Like I said before, in the Pas de Chavel, it's very gallopy and it gets you into it. Like it's really a head bobbing song. This is like a driving down the road. You know, sunroof open, sunglasses on, nice sunny day, makes you want to just go out and go, you know. Mm-hmm. And with Mad as Rabbits, it just felt like a good culmination that really sent the album off on a high note, where this is the song that they had to write, in my opinion, and it came out so well. So a lot of the culminations from a lot of these sounds on this album just kind of, and the odd time signature too, I enjoyed that too. It's a drummer's love to play this song.
Joe Sod would love that.
He would love this song.
I would say my sleeper hit is Folkin' Around.
Okay.
I love that song. I don't know why I slept on this song before. I feel like I've listened to this album a lot of times and that one never really stood out. But when I started re-listening to it for this podcast, I was like, wow, why do I love this one so much? I listened to it on the car ride back to the house today and I was like, this is one that like I would listen to over and over again. Okay. I feel like this is one that you could sing, like if you like you could have an open mic night with this song. Like it's so like,
yeah,
it's so ballady, but yet it's put to a folk track that I'm like, this is the exact kind of song I don't expect from them, but also that I'm very happy that they wrote because it's so beautiful. I can't get enough of that one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so let's rate it out of 10. If I was to give this a rating out of 10, I think I would probably sit at about a 6.5 out of 10. I think this album has a lot of good qualities to it. It's very clean. It's got a lot of very interesting influences, and the sonic direction of this is it's larger in scope than its previous album. It still maintains a lot of those good qualities to it. Some of the performances that aren't Brandon Urie were a bit underwhelming for me, and that's why I think I rated it just a bit lower. There were songs that were just kind of dragging, like songs that didn't really stick out too much for me. But I did enjoy a lot of the songs on this. A lot of earworm songs that get stuck in your head easily. I do think they have better albums in their discography that I would like to talk about in the future as well. Maybe you can have you on. You can be our resident Panic at the Disco expert.
We will be talking about Vices and Virtues. That I am not even.
Well, I want to do Death of a Bachelor.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I will throw myself onto this podcast to talk about Vices and Virtues because realizing I wasted this opportunity. Not wasted. I feel like this is a good album to talk about. Yeah. I give it like a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
I feel like I can pick out other songs from albums that I'm like, albums of theirs that I'm like, this is a masterpiece. Like I could be like, this is exactly what I wanted it to be. This is the Panic that I know and love. So I give it a 7 out of 10 because there are a handful of songs on this album that I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And for a Panic at the Disco album and for me as a fan, that's saying something.
Yeah.
And I mean, the ones that are on this, like, that are, like, that we do talk about and that I do have such a high regard for, amazing, masterful, wonderful. Like, those are the diamonds in the rough, I feel like. Okay. But there are songs on here that I trip over. And
yep.
For me, Vices and Virtue, which is their next album, is, like, I could listen to each and every single one of those songs, and I think I know all of them.
Yeah.
So it's a toss-up. I mean, I give it a 7 out of 10 because I do quite love those songs that are those diamonds. Rating, but I will say the it doesn't make it a 10 because of some of the trip-ups in the album.
Yeah. It wasn't necessarily as fluid as I thought it was going to be. But it was still pretty good. And what do you think of the Citizen Cider bRosé?
I like gushed about it for like 30 minutes of this episode, so I freaking love it. I would put it straight into my bloodstream. I love this stuff. It's fantastic. It's the exact thing of what you need for a summer fall drink.
Yeah. And
like you don't have to go far for it. It's literally like in your your local liquor store.
Yeah.
Like I feel like some ciders can like people try too hard with some ciders. This when you hear it, you're like, oh, rosé, what? Like, why are we adding wine to our ciders? What's going on? This is so easy. Like, this is not anything fancy. It's not anything, added, apple cider vinegar. Like, like, I feel like people add too many things and make things too fruity.
Yeah.
This is not fruity. This is just plain old, like, delicious.
Yeah. So what would you rate it?
Out of 10?
Yeah.
Oh, I would probably give it an 8.5.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So I love this. I've never tried this before. I consider myself a big cider fan, and not that that's a big thing, anything, but I think this is like the perfect balance of that cider taste mixed with the rosé qualities that you look for in a wine. I don't hate this at all. I love everything about it. I honestly think I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. It's my first ever drink I've ever given a 10 out of 10 to.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I've never given one.
See, that's why I was like, I don't know. I having never been on the podcast, I can't rate anything 10 out of 10 because I don't know what my limit is. Exactly, so that's why I gave it an 8.5 because I really like it, but I'm too afraid to name it 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But wow, that's really impressive, Thomas.
Right? Yeah. It's not necessarily the fact that the blueberries bring so much of an X factor to the point where you taste it a bunch. It's just...
It's blended so well.
It brings everything together. It's like the glue that really sticks the wine taste and the cideriness. It helps it play so well to the point where you don't even have to taste it to get that kind of quality out of it. And it's not going to be like a low percentage either. It's 6.1, so it's pretty decent. And I feel like I could have at least 3 of these or more to even get yourself pretty shit faced on a party or something.
On a pontoon boat in the middle of a lake in Connecticut.
Exactly, something like that. It's probably the whitest thing you could have said.
That really is the very blandest, most first world thing I've ever heard myself say.
But yeah, no, I love this. I am upset that this is the last one. I'm probably going to go out and see if I can
get more.
I want to go find some more tomorrow, so I think I am going to try to make an effort to do that.
Good.
So thank you very much. And thank you for being on. I really appreciate it.
Of course, anytime. Like I said, I'll bully you until I get vices and virtues on here.
We will get there.
Okay.
So let's give them some shout outs. Brendan Urie, I believe, by himself. But I think it's just Panic at the Disco on everything, every social.
I feel like literally if you just search
just Panic at the Disco,
you're going to find them.
You can find them on everywhere. I'm assuming it's a .com. And Citizen Cider. CitizenCider.com is their website. I'm just going to assume it's Citizen Cider as well on Instagram. I'm just typing that in right now. Yes, it is. So go check them out. They're pretty big. They're pretty national at this point, even though they're just out of Vermont.
They're incredible. Every time I go to a pub, I get a Citizen Cider.
Good call. After this will be episode 48. We will have Mike and Joe back. We are going to do... one of my picks, actually. It's a Jeff Rosenstock album called Worry. And I, spoiler alert, am a huge fan of that album, so make sure you check in on that. And we are pairing that with Wormtown Brewery's 2 IPAs, Left Coast and Right Coast style, Don't Worry and Be Hoppy. So another dual beer for that one. So make sure you check in for episode 48. But this is going to be it for this episode. Lindsay, again, thank you so much for coming on and giving your expertise. I really do appreciate it, and bringing me a 10 out of 10 beer.
Thank you for setting up in the kitchen.
Yes, we are in the kitchen.
While I just showed up from work. So
okay.
Thank you for being in my general vicinity.
Thank you. That's going to be it for us. Hops and Bops Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and you can catch us streaming on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. So for Lindsay, I'm Tom, and we will see you next time.
Peace. As Mike Angeli would say.
There you go. That's it.